The year was 2010. At this point in my life, I had played the original Bioshock a total of 11 times. My anticipation for Bioshock 2 can only be rivaled by Kingdom Hearts 3 and maybe Pokemon Diamond. I must have seen that Jimmy Fallon trailer a total of 4 times a day. Bioshock was always something special to me, combining philosophy and science fiction under a historical umbrella that is still difficult to rival in most forms of modern media. Like many young folks obsessed with video games, I went to the forums in hopes of finding like-minded peers, and I did. The 2K forums were full of Bioshock fans, all ready to play the next installment and update one another on the next NECA action figure. At the time, these were incredible. Each figure had remarkable detail, and it was such a great period as a gamer to see a figure like Lady Jane sitting alongside Sonic and Mario figures at the local Toys R Us. The hype was real. Eventually, we discovered this website, which was a precursor to Bioshock 2. All over the world, little girls were being kidnapped. Newspaper articles, audio logs, and letters filled this mysterious room. In this pseudo-fiction, with a blend of our own reality, we learn about Mark Meltzer, who was a father, and his daughter Cindy, who was among the kidnapped girls. Mark believed there's something more lurking in the story, something beyond the sea. Despite the geographical inconsistencies, he unraveled the mystery of Rapture. I will link a video below that shows the website in greater detail. What this did for fans was build even more intrigue and hype for Bioshock 2. And further into the promotion, there was an address where you could write to Mark and provide him with some sort of explanation as to the whereabouts of Cindy. My letter stood in character, as the entire process was fun and kept me entertained for a few weeks. A few weeks later, I received a ring on my doorbell, and a man completely dressed as a postman of the 1960s delivered to my door the Rapture record. To this day, I have it sealed, and props to that man. My neighborhood is in the South Bronx. I cannot imagine what he felt when he approached my apartment. The promotion continued, and more swag was distributed, from Arcadia wine bottles to the mask adorned by splicers. Bioshock 2 turned out to be a fantastic experience. I was shocked that the reception went from good to not so good, and now the game is going back up in popularity. I thought Bioshock 2 was fantastic. Sophia Lamb proved to be an interesting antagonist, who differed greatly from Andrew Ryan, while still functioning in the dystopia we are all familiar with. The characters range from eccentric to empathetic in a natural and grounded way, at least for Rapture. The levels and the accompanied music was varied and added more to the lore without altering it. There were points where I missed hearing from the cast we were all familiar with, but I realized that was me craving nostalgia, and it would have made the game seem redundant. Where Bioshock 2 excelled for me was in its gameplay. The gameplay took the plasmid shooter aspect to the next level, and although Delta starts as a pretty fragile Big Daddy, by the end of the game, we see him grow stronger on a physical and personal path. Bioshock 2 managed to elaborate more on the relationship between the Big Daddies and the little sister. It discussed bonds on a maternal and paternal lens, as well as bonds forged by blood and by love. But I realized that was me craving nostalgia, and it would have made the game seem redundant. Where Bioshock 2 excelled for me was in its gameplay. The gameplay took the plasmid shooter aspect to the next level, and although Delta starts as a pretty fragile Big Daddy, by the end of the game, we see him grow stronger on a physical and personal path. It was not a retelling of Rapture, rather it used Rapture as a canvas for a tale that I feel added value to the overall story. Thank you all for checking out my third video on this channel. Although the subject was random, it left an impact for me. Not only was it just cool to have Bioshock acknowledging the fans in a role-playing promotion, but it shows how much love the original game had. And for me, Bioshock 2 is a great love letter to the original game, and I for one think it's fantastic.